Hi, this is Lance Snow with Get Out Together. I am in Ohiopyle, Pennsylvania, in the mountains, in the woods, as you can see from our background here. And I have two special guests with me. Boy, this is focused towards active couples, and if you're talking about active couples, these two are really adventurous active couples. I've got Frank and Bethann Eyth with Grassroots Racing, and they're my special guests today, so wanted to welcome to the show.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming
Thank
on.
you for having us.
So just to kick it off, so Get Out Together, we're focused on inspiring couples and giving them information, resources, events, and ideas for them to just get out and get active. And I thought you'd be the perfect couple to bring on, not only because you're doing the adventure stuff yourselves, but you also have a business that doesn't cater necessarily to couples, but adventure racing is a sport that teams can do, individuals can do, and gives people opportunity to get out and do some really cool stuff.
Well, I have to correct you there because our races definitely appeal to couples. We have a
a
lot of married couples that are doing our races, and much for the reasons that you would suspect. You know, their lives have sort of gotten stale, and they're looking for something exciting. They used to bike, they used to hike, they used to run, and they're just not doing it anymore. The kids are getting in the way, and there are conflicts with their schedules, and do we run together, do we run separate? And doing our races just gives them the encouragement they need to get out there and train, and then they come to our races, total new mindset, working together as a team, and they do it.
Great.
And our only format is two-person teams and solos.
And we do have solos in our races.
Right.
So I thought, okay, great.
So it totally lends itself to that couple.
And we really focus on that co-ed team, and I think that, again, emphasizes couples racing together.
Great. So it's primarily co-ed teams?
Well, we try to focus on that because it's sort of been the heart of adventure racing since its
Yes.
inception. It's one of the few sports, probably the only sport, that the team is, it's required that you have a female on your team, at least in the elite races. So we focus on the co-ed aspect. We do have all male teams. We do have all female teams, which can also be couples.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to not speak to that, but that's
Great. Well, let's start off, because I know we're going to get back into the adventure racing stuff and talk a little bit more about the races, but let's hear a little bit about your background. How you got into the sport, maybe how you guys met. Did you meet before you started racing, after you started racing? How'd everything happen? So let's just start at the beginning. Like, how did each of you get into racing?
Well, I guess since I'm older, I'll talk first.
Okay.
Much older. I started adventure racing because I was a runner, and I started having knee issues, so I started biking. And I thought, well, why not, try to put it all together in triathlon? Well, I couldn't swim.
Yeah.
So I just, I was going to triathlon races and just not doing very well because of my swim. And I was introduced to adventure racing, which is paddling as opposed to swimming, typically, because it's a multi-sport race also. And my paddle was much better. I could paddle really well, and it just so happened. So I started doing well in the races, and I loved the teamwork aspect, and I found two friends that were of a similar mindset, and we did really well as a team. And from there, it just exploded.
Great.
Then from there, I started helping produce races with American Adventure Sports, and I had a job working with them. And Bethann actually hired American Adventure Sports to consult on one of her races that she was putting together, and that's where we met.
That's awesome. So you sort of met through adventure racing, so to speak,
Yeah.
is the reason you
And then
guys
we
met.
started racing together.
And we started to race together because, again, going back to the co-ed aspect of the sport, and just hit it off, and enjoyed each other's company enough to spend the rest of our lives together.
So wait, you met and then you started racing together, and then you decided that, hey, we're kind of a couple. Let's start dating. So really, it was the sport that brought you guys.
Absolutely.
Like, literally racing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You're out
Very
trekking
cool.
for hours and hours and hours, and 24-hour race. You're out all night together. Just hiking through the woods, and you start talking about things, and you realize you have a commonality that that you didn't share with somebody else. And,
Yeah.
And it proved our ability to be a couple.
Wow, that's really cool. So Bethann, how did you? So you hired American Adventure Sports. Leading up to there, how did you?
Yeah, leading up to there, I had done a lot of sports. I had done duathlon, which is run, bike, run, and
Okay.
triathlon, and done marathons and Ironmans and all that kind of stuff. And I had a girlfriend that one year we would travel and another year we would do a race together.
Oh, that's cool.
And we decided to pick one of Doug's races
Yeah.
to do together. And I got totally hooked on the sport. I had the motor to do just about anything, but the mental aspect of adventure racing was so awesome. So that's what brought me into adventure racing. And then I decided to put on. I was a race producer, and so I had triathlons and duathlons, and decided to do an adventure race. And that's why I got a hold of Doug, because we had already gone to his race. Contacted him to see if he would help me get things going, and he did, and brought in his team, and Frank was part of that. And since then, I mean, I've done marathons and other races, but if you can race in this, why would you go back to the streets?
You gotta admit, this
oh my
is
gosh, it's just
pretty
awesome
venue.
Yeah.
Better than inhaling exhaust fumes from passing cars.
Yep.
I gotta admit.
Yep.
Well, that's really cool. So let's talk a little bit now about. Well, let me ask about the business. So you started producing some races together. So tell me about Grassroots Racing. It's at rootrace.com. I'll definitely link it up with the show notes.
Thank you.
But tell us a little bit more about the business and the aspect of adventure racing. What's the venue like? Where do you have them? What kind of disciplines are involved?
Well, grassroots, I mean, it speaks to it itself right there. We sort of taking a grassroots approach to getting people outside, first of all, and in the natural environment, but also into adventure racing, which adventure racing can be a very gear-intensive sport, and many of the races are in faraway places. So the travel costs, the registration fees, and all the gear you need, it adds up to thousands and thousands of dollars. And then the time commitment that you need to put into training, and then the time commitment you need to put into traveling to the race. So we just wanted to make a simple approach and put races on where people that we knew lived, and make the races very accessible to everyone. So
and geared towards families.
As much as possible.
I don't mean to interrupt.
That's fine.
But yeah, I mean, we pick our venues based on that. I mean, we have a daughter who's 8, and she's been, we have her back at 3, cheering the racers on as they went through the start. But go ahead, sorry.
So we try to have venues that are near the Pittsburgh area, Western Pennsylvania for the most part. We do use state parks as often as possible, and we also like to use the resorts because they tend to let us do more with their property.
Oh, cool.
Which is kind of nice, and it also exposes the resorts and the families, making getting outside a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting outside in a state park means hiking in with a tent and setting that up, whereas there are many places you can go and enjoy the outdoors and not have to rough it.
Yes.
So we're trying to expose people to all these things. Our series of races is a 4-race series. We start in April. We try to start with a simpler race that's in around the 2 to 3 mile range, or 2 to 3 hour range, and then move up. And our last race of the year, which will be at Hidden Valley, is an 8-hour race.
Wow! Oh, great!
And our races are multi-sport. For the most part, we find that paddling is just really difficult to find water and boats, and the combination of the two. So we focus on mountain biking and trail running. And then to put a mental aspect into the sport as much as we can, we do orienteering style navigation.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Well, the orienteering, I know, adds a level of complexity. I mean, it's not just getting a map and compass, although it is just getting a map and compass, but there's a strategy behind it, too, and it sort of brings that mental aspect, that intelligence into the race,
right.
Which can help level the playing field for some people that maybe not as strong on a mountain bike or not as strong a runner.
Definitely.
It's a really strong point. We find so often that we have these all-male teams, 2 young guys who are really fast, really strong, don't know how to navigate at all. And they're just going as fast as they can in the wrong direction. And then you have this co-ed team, a man and woman who work really well together, and the man wants to go this way, and the woman says, let's look at the map. And she always does. Check our compasses, and let's go that way, because it's the right direction.
That's cool.
And, they ended up doing better.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you just had one in downtown Pittsburgh, right?
Recently.
So this was actually more of an urban setting,
Right.
as opposed to
Right.
the great outdoors.
Yeah, and it's a
which is
great
neat.
exposure to what we do, because now you're navigating off of street maps and using street names and familiar territory for some of the people. Anyways, a lot of people come in from out of town and don't know the city that well, but still enjoy it. The compass is helpful, but it's not as necessary, and you're not using topographical maps. You're using, like I said, street maps, so it's simpler.
And the fear of getting lost
Yeah,
is eliminated.
you always know
There
you
you
can take
go.
a bus back
Right.
to the start.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or call a cab.
And you're able to use just about any kind of bike because it's all rail trail that they're biking on, or the bike friendly streets of Pittsburgh. And so it's just a great race, and it's usually our largest attended
Oh, good.
event.
And it's one of the
And,
few that we consistently can have paddling, because we Kayak Pittsburgh, which is
Yeah.
part of Venture Outdoors, actually graciously gives us their boats to use for that race.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we can put control points out in the rivers, and people paddle out to those. And
Oh, that's really cool.
it's fun.
Well, and, just a side note, that's really cool that an organization would support another organization just for the
Right.
help,
Right.
advocate for the great outdoors.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. So that one is in downtown Pittsburgh, and then you have another one coming up in Moraine State Park.
Correct. Yeah, that's was typically one of our most popular, because it's a great venue, Moraine.
Yeah.
It's very technical mountain biking, but it's
Okay, I was going to ask you if you were going into the technical mountain bike
Yes.
course, because I've been on that course a few times. Well, actually, I used to go there a lot. It's a great course.
It is. It is. It's, and that's why we get so many people in that one. With that one, we don't have access to boats, but we do start it off with a swim, which is a lot of fun.
Very cool.
We start off with a 1 mile run that you run down to the swim put-in, and then you swim basically the same mile back.
And
to
you
a
can take
transition.
anything with you.
And you're allowed to, you can take a inner
Really?
tube, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we
cool.
had a
Little
racer
flotation.
last year that came with this blue inner tube, like
I think it was his,
pool
his
toy,
kid's
you
pool
know?
toy.
And we're like, oh gosh, everybody's laughing at him as he's running down. And man, he got on that
backstroked?
thing, he backstroked that and got out of the water and was first. I mean, it was just, it was
great.
it was comical to see the different ideas that people had, and it gave them the opportunity. Well, I can't swim, but I can
Still do it.
paddle, I can push myself along,
Clever.
or I can, wear a PFD or whatever. We gave them the freedom to choose, and that's another aspect of adventure racing that's so great, that strategy point, and you always like to, put pieces into the race that give you, the racer, the opportunity to think outside the box and come up with some ideas and see how they work.
Yeah, that's great. That's clever. That's fun.
It is fun. It is fun.
And then, like you said, Hidden Valley is your finale of the year, and that's in October, right?
Right. That'll be in the Laurel Highlands.
That's a longer one. That's a
Right.
It's a day-long race.
It's a little more technical, not necessarily beginner's race, though we have many people, it's their first adventure race, and they do it, and they do well.
They do well, yeah.
And that's something we probably should speak to too. I mean, if people are interested in trying our races, is that our races are built in a way that you do as much as you want or as little as you want. It's called a Rogaine format.
Okay.
Which is not a typical. People aren't familiar with the word other than hair treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea of it is that there are control points spread out through the course, and some can only be gotten on bikes, and some can only be retrieved on foot, and on swim or paddle. It's up to you which control points you're going to visit. Some have more points because they're further away or they're harder to get to, and some have less points because they're closer. So you can strategize and figure out, if you can't get all the points, which points you're going to get. So if you're a total beginner, you can come in and just say, I'm going to learn how to navigate, so I'm just going to go out and get 3 of these control points on the trek and 3 on the bike, and as long as you're done within the time frame that we tell you to be done, you're all set.
Yeah, that's the other nice aspect about Rogaine, is there's a set ending time.
Yeah.
So, wife and kids aren't waiting for you to finish this race that's 12 hours long. I got to be done by 1. Everybody else has to be done by 1, and I need to make the most of that 3 hours or that 4 hours or that 6 hours. So you can actually train for a Rogaine race easier than a regular adventure race because I've got to train for a 6-hour event.
Yeah.
Or a 3-hour event.
Yeah.
I don't have to guess and think, oh my gosh, what if I miss this point and I, have to, can't find it.
Right.
And I spend 2 hours looking for it,
Yeah.
well, you drop that point. You don't need it to be a finisher.
Wow,
And
that's
that
cool.
really opens
So
it up.
everyone's successful. Everyone's a
Right.
finisher, and not only
Yeah.
that, but everyone finishes together, which is really awesome because you have this great camaraderie where people just sit around and talk about how did you get to that point. How did you find this one? Did you even find that one? 'Cause we couldn't find it at all, and it's just a great time to talk, socialize, and eat and drink and whatever.
I mean, a lot of our racers do so many things now because of meeting at grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
They train together. They do longer races together. Their families get together.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's kind of what grassroots is. We're family.
Yeah.
And
It's all about community.
Yeah, it is community. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it's really fun.
Well, good. So I'm going to take a kind of real quick step back. We've been talking about the business itself. So what was it like, the two of you? So we're trying to encourage people to go out and try some of these races.
Right.
So the two of you getting out there, what kind of dynamic was that when you were racing? Either when you're dating or now or whenever, or even working in the business together. What kind of dynamic is the outdoors and the adventure? What's it like? I mean, I'm sure it's not all roses, especially when you're racing and you're missing a checkpoint or you feel like you're getting lost or something. Like how do you handle that, and what's that like?
When we first started racing, we raced on a team, and it was 3 of us. And my job was, we had a navigator, so my job was not to navigate, but I was, considered the workhorse. I would carry extra load or whatever to help the navigator, keep a clear head, and he'd keep things simple for him. And part of my job was, to support Bethann if she started feeling down. 2 guys can race a little faster sometimes than a woman, maybe have a little more strength or whatever. And so that was sort of my job, was to help her, move her along, and keep her in good spirits. And, which was great. I mean, it was a great introduction to her, and a chance to seem like a really great guy. But after that, we started doing things together. Again, I was no longer the navigator, and she became the mental part of our team. And primarily that's what she does, is most of the map work, and figures
cool.
out where to go, how to get there, and I just support her and get her there.
Wow. So you're sort of playing to each other's strengths. I mean, so
That's exactly
her
right.
strength was sort of the map, and yours is
Right.
sort of the motivating, keep going,
Right.
let's go.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's great that we are able to each give up on the other part.
Yeah.
I never
hard
was
to
good with
sometimes.
maps, so I just said, take it. And,
That's
and,
cool.
And she's happy to let me, pull her or whatever, take her pack, whatever it is
Yeah.
that, I can do to help her.
Well, that's great. Now, how about in the business? So in the business, are you both doing the same things, or one of you doing more of the coursework, or one of you doing more of the business aspect, or you sort of
I'm
sharing?
more the mouth of the business, and she's
Okay.
more the brains.
Okay.
And I do as much of the marketing and talking to people and emailing and all of that, and make all the connections within the race group.
Mhm.
She takes care of paperwork, dealing with the Forest Service, and
Gotcha.
dealing with the parks, and then together we work on the course.
Well, I see a definite parallel between how you guys race together and how you guys run a business together.
Similar.
She's doing
Yeah.
the map work of the business,
Mhm.
and you're
Motivating.
keeping it going
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
motivating. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
It is.
Neat. So I'm going to wrap it up by just sort of letting you kind of recap grassroots and what you've got coming up, and I'll mention the website again. So you've got 2 more races. Go ahead.
Yeah, 2 more races this year, and I'll just go through the schedule first. We start in April at, in previous years, it's been Raccoon Creek State Park.
Mhm.
We kind of try to change venues because, again, it's about exposing people to the park systems that are available to them. And Raccoon was one of those parks that just no one goes to, no one knows
Oh,
about.
yeah.
No one did.
No one did go to, and
But no.
actually, it's incredible how we can have an effect on it.
Mhm.
We would go there early in the year, and we wouldn't see any mountain bikes anywhere. And as soon as we announced that's a venue, all of a sudden there was mountain bikes there. So
Oh,
people were
cool.
out riding the trails, getting used to them,
Yeah.
just getting to know them, and
That's great.
so Raccoon is in April. We try to do the 3rd Saturday of each month, just to keep it simple. So
Mhm.
people, say, when's that grassroots race? What's the 3rd Saturday of each month?
That's cool.
So 3rd Saturday of April. Then the next race is the Turf, which is the urban race for 50. We like acronyms, but that we do in conjunction with the Adventure Outdoors Festival. So we start the race early, like at 8 o'clock, and it's over just as the Adventure Outdoor Festival is gearing up.
Very cool.
That's the urban race. That's really fun, and that is in May, 3rd week of May. We did used to do a race every month, but just got to be too much. So our next race will be
Now we're
August.
spending time in the woods,
Yeah.
organizing these races.
Organizing, helping
Yeah.
American Adventure Sports. with
Yeah,
their races,
right. Yeah. So
But-
it's great. It's
yeah.
awesome.
So it's becoming actually a bigger job.
Yep.
But then in August, it'll be the third week in August, we'll go out to Moraine this year. Probably we'll continue to do Moraine. And that is another good race for somebody who's new to the sport, because it's kind of formatted like a triathlon. We start off with a swim, go to the bike, and do a run. Whereas most adventure races are, you don't know what you're doing and when you're doing it. But that one we try to sort of format so people know what to expect. And then the third week of October, we'll be up here in the Lower Highlands again and doing our series finale. And part of this nice thing about the sport is our series is that it's a 4-race series, and we try to encourage people to sign up for all 4 races early in the year. We give them price breaks and everything. Our races are very affordable.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to say cheap because it makes them sound less than good,
Yeah, no.
but they are very inexpensive, very affordable. And so we do this 4-race series, which is great for people because once they're committed to it, they're going to do them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you join a gym, you pay your money, you're going to get to the gym.
Just
and
gonna
work
say
out.
that. Yep.
So it keeps people involved, and it keeps them, and it makes a community. So we have about 40 teams that do our series, and they're just it's this community of people who, they see each other every month, or
Great people.
and like Bethann said before, they're now training together, and Facebook friends, and doing the whole social media thing,
Great.
and just really supporting each other.
I mean, that the affordability thing was critical to us forming Grassroots because with our daughter, you have other expenses that, and time, and, you can't necessarily justify spending $280 or $250 on 12 hours in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why we thought, we're going to make a series that people can afford, that's not going to take a lot of time away from their family. We're going to give their family something to do. Moraine, you go swimming. In Pittsburgh, you've got the outdoor festival kind of thing. And, get people outdoors. And we love adventure racing. We love the wilderness and the woods. And we want to bring people to it in a less threatening atmosphere, in an atmosphere that they can feel comfortable, something that they can do. I can do 3 hours.
Yeah.
I can hike for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I can do that.
So you've taken the barrier of adventure racing, you've lowered
Yes.
it way down.
Yep, right.
And to encourage more people, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because you really, I want people to try adventure racing out
Yeah.
there. And,
And we've had so many success stories. I mean, we have a racer that races for us who's a diabetic, and once he got into our community, he started working out more.
Oh,
he's
great.
he's less less insulin dependent.
Yeah.
Several people who are struggling with weight issues, and now they're thin as can be and fit, and then couples that have come together, now they're together in a much stronger way.
Yeah.
So that's what we live for. We love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's why you do what you do.
That's right.
Right.
That's great. Well, again, that's rootsrace.com. I'll link it up. And I want to thank you both so much
Thank
for
you.
coming
Thank
on
you
and
for
sharing your
having us.
stories. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah,
All right,
great.
and that'll do it for today.
Okay.